Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good night. I think that's copyright. Probably can't say that. Anyway, welcome to episode 4 of Spillin' It. I am Jesse Smith alongside my co-host, Mr. Benjamin Stephen Boynton here.
Not the full
We are
government
very
name.
excited. Yeah, I had to go full government. Sometimes you just got to go full government and you got to keep them on their toes, man. We
Sure.
got a really fun episode for you this week. We're going to do some different things. Definitely going to talk some ball in multiple
Oh,
fashions.
much ball.
Lots of ball to be had. But first, Ben, we're gonna do something a little different here. I feel like we've kind of played it safe with a lot of our stuff that we've been doing so far. I want to get a little spicy. I'm feeling a little
Jesse, not
spicy
on the
this
recorded
week.
Zoom.
We're gonna get flagged. Anyway, I'm feeling some spicy takes to start, and really, this segment kind of came about of I have a feeling about something that after watching a full week of football that I really wanted to kind of get off my chest. So,
Okay.
if you're ready for it, I'm going to go ahead and give you my spicy NFL take for this week, and that is I think the Patriots are winning their division.
I knew we were gonna have the same one. That's
Truly,
okay. I have a backup.
I truly feel that the New England Patriots are winning that division. And as of right now, they have a better record. They have the same amount of losses, but they do have an extra win with Buffalo coming off that bye week. But at 5-2, I'm looking at the rest of their schedule, and they got an easier schedule simply because Buffalo is the returning and reigning division champion. And they've already beaten Buffalo once this year.
Hmm.
So I'm just looking at things, and I finally took the time to watch the Patriots and put aside my Indianapolis Colts fandom for a little bit and realize this is a completely different, reign that they have going on right now. I need to stop living in the past and having all those horrible feelings towards them. And I actually sat and I watched them and realized there's a lot of talent on that football team without names attached to them. So for me, it's pretty clear. I've watched a lot of Buffalo this year just simply because I'm a big Josh Allen fan, and this is not a knock on him at all whatsoever. I think they're just lost defensively. I really do.
Hmm.
And until they figure that out, I got the Patriots winning that division.
Yeah, I think I felt so validated this weekend after we had the Drake May conversation, and then he once
Yeah,
again went out and won him a ball game.
he
Uh,
absolutely balled out.
just like dominating, setting records that Tom Brady used to have. Better games as a Patriot, better completion percentage than any Patriot ever. He's just a complete package, man, in year two. It's been so fun to watch. And I think that they still are kind of talent deficient. Your point that you're making, I actually agree with. I don't think that they have like the stars, but they have a bunch of guys that are coached well. They're playing the scheme well. They're making the plays. And sometimes that matters, you know?
Yeah,
Teams like Miami that have a lot of talent on offense just have looked moribund, because they can't figure
yeah.
it out. Sorry to use a
Nice
$10
SAT
word
word of the
there.
day, sir. You didn't have to
Um,
drop that on us.
you know, but New England just has it going on. They're riding hot. They're coached well. They play hard. They've got a quarterback on top of the world right now. And I'm gonna just quickly, you hinted at this, just quickly gonna read off their remaining opponents: Browns, Falcons, Bucks, Jets, Bengals, Giants, Bills, Ravens, Jets, Dolphins. So a lot of winnable games there. You get two more against the Jets. You get another one against the Dolphins. You should theoretically be better than the Browns right now and the Giants. And so then your challenge games are the Falcons, which, depending on which version of the Falcons show up, could
Right.
be easy or hard. You've got at Tampa Bay, which,
It's
this
a tough
past
one.
week notwithstanding, that has looked pretty tough. At Cincinnati's kind of a teaser. I don't know how long the Flacco experience is going to
Right.
go well, but they could be difficult, but it's certainly not a game where you walk in and you think that you're outmatched. And then you have
No.
another game against the Bills, who you've already beaten once, and it's going to be really hard to beat them twice, although this one is at home for New England. And then the
Hmm.
Ravens it just kind of depends on where the Ravens are by week 16, whether they're good
Right.
or not. But that's super winnable. They have a
Absolutely.
much easier schedule than Buffalo, just as you broke down, Jesse, by virtue of not having the first place division schedule. I mean, Buffalo still plays Kansas City, Tampa Bay, Steelers, Patriots, Eagles. They also have some easy games on here, but I think New
The
England
ones you
with
just
the
mentioned,
advantage, they're 2-0 in the division, which isn't a lot, but Buffalo already has that head-to-head loss.
hmm
I'm making this case so well because this was also my hot take. It
and
was really
honestly, we
kind
could
of
probably just leave it there too. I mean, unless you got something you got to get off your chest.
I
I
have
mean,
one hot take I kind of want to squeak in, and I don't think we have to spend a ton of time talking about it because we've kind of like played around with it. I think that Daniel Jones will finish as a top three MVP candidate.
ooh,
Um,
okay, okay.
Now this will probably age extremely poorly, but
This
if the
is the
Colts
end.
continue, it probably will. Now that I've put it into existence, it will just go topsy-turvy.
The
But
universe was waiting for that shoe to drop.
I don't know, man. Right now, the Colts are. I do not think the Colts will be the one seed in the AFC at the end of the season, but I think that they're clearly on path to win 12 to 13 games at least.
hmm
And if their offense continues and Daniel continues to play, calling him Daniel just feels weird. It's gonna be like Dimes or
DJ.
I just can't do Daniel. If Sir Dimes keeps playing the way that he's playing, the numbers are gonna be there, the narrative is gonna be there, and there's nothing. I don't think he's gonna win. I have a hard time buying that, but he could be one of those seasons where like later on you're talking ball and you're like, hey, remember when Daniel Jones was third in the MVP voting
hmm
on a 1 year deal? Like I have a hard time seeing that not happening if the Colts, who by the way through 7 games are outscoring their opponents by 92 points, which is
Goodness.
far and away the best mark in the league.
Absurd.
The second best point differential is 62 from Kansas City, which is hilarious because they are 4-3. Um, Winning 31 to nothing will do that. I have a hard time thinking that the Colts don't finish with the kind of record that gets Daniel Jones into that conversation.
Oh, absolutely. And I've been cautiously optimistic. I obviously thrilled as a Colts fan, but just kind of waiting for the moments to happen that we're used to. And we just really haven't seen them. Obviously, he's made a couple mistakes throughout, but the one loss that they had was not on him, and he
Right.
has actively been the reason why they've won games. I mean, Jonathan Taylor going back into old Jonathan Taylor mode has been a huge help, but they really have been receiver by committee. And Tyler Warren has been an absolute revelation. Definitely is fulfilling his draft spot. When you pick a
Hmm.
tight end that high, you're expecting him to contribute immediately. And he's really doing what we thought Kyle Pitts was going to do when he was picked several years ago. So there's a lot of really good things, and I could absolutely see that being true. There's just that part of me that has watched the Colts quarterback play over the last several years be wildly inconsistent that it's keeping me up at night sometimes, but I'm enjoying the ride as of right
Hmm.
now, and I really hope that it does end up being one of those years that you're like, hey, remember when Daniel Jones just went supernova for a little bit of time? Really do hope that he can pull that one through.
5 more games against what looks to be the most destitute division in football, by the way. They've only
We
played
love
one
it.
divisional matchup.
We love it.
Yeah,
Alrighty.
I just wanted to sneak that in there, but
Oh,
I was with you on the
absolutely.
Patriots.
Great spicy picks. Um, so let's get into some week 8 picks, and we're gonna do this kind of lightning round versus what we normally do. I know most of our episodes have been heavy analysis on this, but we got ball to talk about. We got some serious, ooh, the
I
hickory.
got the Hickory, which is not even. You'll notice I didn't draft or make honorable mention of it last week during our jersey draft. It's still great. It just wasn't up
It's
there.
excellent. I
I've
loved
got
it.
the double Indiana hoop.
But we're gonna go ahead and do some lightning round picks for week 8. I went 12-3 last week. You went 11-4. I'm
Hmm.
62-32 on the year, which is actually ironic that we started this podcast this season because this has been one of my best years of picks, probably ever, if
I
not the
know,
best one
same.
ever.
I've
I'm
never been
like,
so good.
okay, let's go. And it's been the
60
most
picks in
unpredictable
25.
year in NFL history too. So I am here for it. So we got our Thursday night matchup. We got Chargers and Vikings, and we get two teams that I think are just kind of reeling from their own mistakes in a way and losing games that they easily could have won. And if a couple things go a different way, their season looks very different. And I know we talked a lot about the Chargers last week, but for this one, I'm taking the Chargers. I just think they're going to come in angry from last week, but they got to protect Herbert. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, the offensive line play has been really bad. The defense weirdly has kind of started like not falling off a cliff, but certainly sliding towards the edge. Not
Yeah.
really sure what that's all about. I have a tough time picking Minnesota to lose again because I think they're well coached and the pieces are there. I just think that I trust the Chargers a little bit more, even with some of their deficiencies. Although Brian Flores has put his bib on for that Chargers offensive
He
line.
absolutely is.
I went with LA as well, but I think that one will be a pretty competitive Thursday night game.
Yeah. Early slate for Sunday. We got Bengals and Jets, and this one it's hard to pick the Jets right now.
I don't know how you could, unless
I
you're
don't
just doing
know.
it to be contrarian.
Right. If you're doing it just for the vibes and just to be special on this one, I went with Cincinnati.
Yeah, Aaron Glenn got all defensive after the Denver New York game in London, where Justin Fields was like one of the worst quarterbacks in NFL history. He got all defensive about quarterback change questions and then benched Justin Fields at halftime of this past week, which is just classic. I'm not out on Aaron Glenn. I think he was dealt a tough hand. It's just there are holes all up and down that Jets roster, and I just they
It's a
they have the
mess.
look of a team that is ready for Cancun, and it's not even November. So
Right.
Cincinnati easily.
Cancun sounds lovely.
I mean,
This
I
next
would
one we
go.
got Ravens and Bears. This one completely depends on the return of Lamar Jackson. They're coming off the bye, and I think he will be back just based off of what I'm seeing. In that case, I do think they get back to winning. I think the Bears have been a really good feel-good story, winning four straight so far. But I just cannot imagine a world where Lamar Jackson is 1-6,
Yeah.
and I don't want to imagine that world. So I think they get back to the W column.
Jesse's trying to avoid having our first episode played back at him ad nauseum, where he picked the Ravens to make it to the AFC Championship.
Hey, we are trying to delete that off the internet, and
Hey, look, but I joke, but it's doable. Nobody is running away with the North. I think that there is some real substance to Chicago's win streak, but I also picked Baltimore. I feel like Lamar coming off the bye, that's another extra week where the rest of the team had a chance to get healthy. I like Baltimore in this one. They could also fall if they fall on their face though, then I'm out for the season. But if they win this
yeah,
game,
I
then
think
there's
I
a
will as
chance to
well.
turn it around. It has to
We'll
start.
do a mid-season pick to make myself feel better.
Yeah, we'll do it updated mid-season stuff. We're almost there. It's week 8.
I know it's coming up. Next one we got Falcons and Dolphins. For this one, I went with the Falcons simply because I think the Dolphins are reaching that Jets territory where I don't know how you can pick them for anything
Yeah.
right now. That this is not a confidence pick for the Falcons by any means. I have no idea what's going on in Atlanta right now, but I think it's still whatever that big question mark is still more dominant than whatever's happening with the Dolphins.
Yeah, this truly could go. Sometimes you say a game could go any way. This game truly could go any way
It
because
really could.
the Dolphins have primarily been bad, but they have sparks in them this season and have had stretches. I mean, they almost beat the Chargers. This
Yeah,
past week in the windstorm was brutal to watch. I mean, all
it
time
was.
bad. But it's hard to pick. It's hard to pick them, but it's hard to imagine it'll be that bad again. That being said, it could be. And then Atlanta, like they just flip a coin and decide whether they want to play that day or not. And if they do want to play, then they look really, really good. And if they
Hmm.
don't want to play, then they get blown out. They look inept. They just don't have it. I think this one they're going to have it. They know that they need to win this game.
They have to.
The NFC is so competitive, and it seems like Tampa Bay might win that division. Atlanta's not out of that, but they need just like how we were talking about some of these other teams needing to get a win in the column. It has to start here for the Falcons.
Has to be. This is a save your season kind of win.
Yeah,
For this next one, we got Bills and Panthers. For this one, I went ahead and went with the Bills. They're coming off of a bye week, and I think they're going to be rested. Going to make some adjustments. I think they will look better defensively. And this is no slouch. I mean, the Panthers have definitely upgraded themselves from being the worst team in the league. Last
hmm
year, you could argue at many times that they were the worst team in the NFL. And right now, I'm just not seeing the worst team. Are they a playoff team? Probably not. But
not in
they
the
are winning
NFC.
games and they're being competitive. And I think that's pretty cool. And I like seeing the progression from them because I think the NFL is more fun when Carolina's good.
Yeah, they do keep pounding, and they're over 500 for the first time since Matt Rule was coach in 2021, which is crazy. But I think they go back to 500 here. I just Buffalo out of a bye has been deadly for years, but also
Mhm.
I just think they're a lot better than Carolina. There's growth in Carolina for sure. I don't think they're quite ready to punch with the heavyweights, but there's some spunk to them. They are not a pushover, and that honestly
Mhm.
is a huge sign of progress. We talked about that in our first episode. Success for the Panthers this year isn't necessarily a win total, but it's just signs of progress. Are you a legitimate team? And I think they've done that
Mhm.
so far. So proud of what they've accomplished. They're not going to get it done this week.
Yeah. Next one we got 49ers and Texans. This is just a weird matchup. Just you don't really think 49ers Texans playing each other, but here we are. I went with the 49ers. I don't care who's playing quarterback. I just think they're going to outmuscle them. And
Yeah.
the 49ers showed me, a little bit this past weekend hanging in there. They're hanging in there despite everything that's going on. And I just truly don't really believe in what the Texans are doing right now. And watching them over the last couple weeks, I mean, they just got manhandled by Seattle, who, again, Seattle's a good team, don't get me wrong. But I just don't really think the Texans have an identity currently. And I think that starts with offense.
I think the Texans actually do have an identity, and it's we have to play like the 85 Bears or we have no shot. And their defense actually gave, and even then it's not enough. They won the
Yeah,
turnover margin by 3 last night.
yeah,
We're recording on Tuesday. It's our new recording day. Sorry, I guess spoiler alert. But they won the turnover margin. They honestly harassed Seattle into its worst offensive performance of the season, essentially. And it never, even though the score was close, it never really felt like they had a shot.
yeah.
There's something deeply broken in Houston. And for as much as I think San Francisco is not going to just continue to weather all these injuries, I think they have enough to outlast the Texans. Texans are in like extreme all-time bad vibes watch for me. This is the kind of stuff that gets coaches fired even if they don't deserve it. And I think D'Amico
Yeah,
Ryans is a good coach. I just have a really hard time seeing the path forward for Houston.
absolutely. This next one we got Eagles and Giants. Giants have been frisky and fun lately, but cannot close a game to save their life. It truly amazing the way that they close out games. And I'm a little upset with them because I was on my way to an all-time week last week with my picks, but they went ahead and just said, "Here, you can have it," just like SpongeBob in the ice cream cone. For this one, they're in timeout for me, and I don't think they're going to beat the Eagles regardless. But I don't really care who they were playing. I think I was going to pick the other team regardless out of spite. Truly,
I took Philadelphia. They showed a lot of growth and things to build on in their passing attack, obviously, this past weekend. I don't think Philadelphia is all of a sudden cured. Although last year, they started the season a similar way. They were kind of shaky and then they just decided they were the
yeah,
best team in the league. Don't think that happened this week, but I think it's possible that they've turned a corner. The Giants are so hard to figure out for me because at some point I kind of expect that their lack of experience and top tier talent and receiver depth is going to catch up to them, but they just keep spunking it out until they get there.
yeah,
And I did give them consideration, but I went with Philly. I in Philly after such a letdown, like this is a trap game for the
hmm
Giants, not in the sense of overlooking their opponent, but in the sense of drinking the Kool-Aid too much and being so caught up in what happened. Well, I mean, what they just did against Denver is the kind of loss that has the chance to just like torpedo your whole season. Like you're going
absolutely.
to be thinking about it constantly, and I don't think they're going to turn around and rally for a win against such an esteemed opponent.
Yeah, and shout out to Jalen Hurts for finally throwing the ball like he remembered like he could, over 300
He can
yards for the
throw it
first
deep.
time in a minute. He can. And he's
Throws it
got the
deep well.
guys to throw it to. It was good to see. I'm a big Jalen Hurts guy. I big
Real tight.
believer in him. And, I think he gets a lot of flack that he doesn't really necessarily deserve.
Well,
Next matchup, we got Pats and Browns. And for this one, it would be weird if I picked the Browns after my spicy take. So, pretty obvious one for me here. I'm taking the Patriots.
I took the Patriots too. I don't feel like we need to spend a ton of time belaboring New England. We literally did an entire segment talking about that, but Cleveland is feisty. They need the right conditions to win, and I don't think at New England against a red hot Patriots team are those conditions.
I don't think so either. Bucks and Saints. Saints haven't looked completely lifeless in different times throughout the year, but this is a division game, and I think the Bucks coming off of a pretty significant loss, getting manhandled on Monday Night Football. I think the Bucks put it back together and they take the W on this one.
Yeah, it was Baker's worst game of the season, and I just The new Baker, I think, doesn't do that two times in a row. They did just lose the legendary Mike Evans for most of the rest of the season. They
Yeah.
didn't say it was season ending. I guess it could end up being, but they're another team like San Francisco that just cannot stay healthy and they just keep weathering the
Mhm.
storm. New Orleans has had a couple big stinkers, including this past weekend when they just like could not stop shooting themselves in the foot against Chicago. And they've been pretty competitive, but I think the Bucks will rebound here in the Superdome.
I think so too. Cowboys Broncos for this next one. I know you touched on it on last week's episode where Dak Prescott's playing at an MVP level and he's got CeeDee Lamb back. So I think the vibes are on their way up for Dallas, especially. So I went ahead and took them over the Broncos. The Broncos have to play more consistently, and I know you probably agree with that. I just going to the wire and pulling out a miracle win against the Giants is not confidence inspiring to me. So for that reason, I went ahead and went with the Cowboys. I just think their offense is going to really start firing here soon.
Yeah, Jesse, just as an update, we've not deviated from each other yet, and it's not going to change here. I did not take Denver. As the Denver fan on the podcast, pretty discouraged by what I've seen the last couple weeks. Although some perspective after the game, I was like, well, to be fair, they just came from London and they didn't take their bye.
Yeah.
So that definitely could contribute. So they're kind of on like hold for me of I want to see if this was you just like overlooked an opponent, had a lot going on, or if this is just how they are. But they've had a couple games where the offense just has not figured it out.
Mhm.
Sean Payton has called an extremely like conservative, handcuffed to like
Yes.
backpack leash offense for Bo Nix this season. This is the kind of game against the Dallas defense that is coming off its best, one of its better performances, but still also gave up 22 points in that game. This is the chance to see like what do you really think of Bo Nix? Are you going to continue to call this offense that clearly
Yeah.
doesn't work, or are you going to open it up and let him throw down the field? And if he can't do it, then you'll at least know. But
Yeah. You got
I'm
to
at the
know
point
one way or the other.
where I believe firmly that teams tell you what they think about their players by how they call the games. And
Hmm.
it seems like they don't believe a lot in Bo Nix, but I'd like them to show us their work on this one before we make that same conclusion definitively.
I agree with you there. And I think it's similar to how you see the game being called differently for Daniel Jones than it was for Anthony Richardson when he was playing last year. It was so much more simple for
Hmm.
Richardson. They didn't want all the moving parts, but they clearly trust Daniel Jones in a different way. They didn't trust AR last year,
Hmm.
where you can have guys moving all over the place, so much motion, so many different things, and you get to see the genius that Steichen has in his offensive play calling. And it comes down to trust, And I noticed the same thing when I was watching the Broncos earlier this year.
They
It's
don't
just a
trust him right now.
very bare bones playbook for him. So I would like to see what he can do. I really would. This next matchup, to segue right back into the Colts, we got Colts and Titans. And for this one, I took the Colts. And again, I think the Titans are just one of those teams right now that it's really hard to pick. I think they'll play them hard. I think they will. They always play the Colts hard. But for this one, I just think talent kind of overrules.
Yeah, the Titans are kind of in sim to end of the season mode right now,
Yep.
which is tough to do this early. They fired their coach. I think they have some young talent to build upon. It just clearly is not going to happen this year. Uh, Tyler Lockett straight up just asked for his release this week and was like,
Let me
I
go.
don't need to be here. And they were like, it's not like you're doing anything for us anyway, so peace. Can't wait to get those Tyler Lockett Titans jerseys in like 20 years. It's like that's a crazy jersey to own. But yeah, I think Colts by a mile.
Next one, we got Packers and Steelers for the Sunday night slates.
The
And
Rutgers Bowl.
I wrestled with this one for a minute. I really did. I went ahead and took the Packers. I don't feel great about it, I'll be honest. I think the Steelers have just kind of been staying and they've been winning games, and the Packers have been losing games that they shouldn't be losing. So they're leaving teams in on these matchups that on paper they should be blown out of the water. So I took the Packers. I don't feel great about it, but that was what made the most sense to me.
Yeah, I also took the Packers. They haven't been as dominant as we hoped to see from them, but they continue to win games. Eventually, I gotta assume that they'll turn it on down the stretch. I just I liked the Packers better. And real quick before we get to our final game, the reason that we I think all we're gonna match on all these picks, and I think part of that reason is this just feels like a very unbalanced week. There's
It
not a
does.
lot of true. There were maybe 3 or 4 games on this slate that I was like, I don't know, but tough watch
It
for
is
some
a tough
people here.
watch. So going into our last one, I'm assuming you also took the Chiefs over the Commanders on the Monday night slate.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've watched the Chiefs play the last couple weeks, and I just
Yeah.
they look red hot on
Yeah.
offense,
And
and their defense
Daniels
has turned it on as
is
well.
Jane Daniels' status is up in the air. He keeps getting banged up. And I
Hmm.
think my hope, my genuine hope for football's sake is that it was more of a precautionary thing that the game was out of hand and they didn't really see a point putting him back in. But I'm worried about his longevity right now. I'm hoping it's just one of those years that he's catching some bad luck. But for this one, yeah, I don't really think it matters who's playing quarterback for him right now. I think it's going to be the Chiefs all the way.
I think it's going to get late early here for the Commanders. They regression was always coming, but they have a brutal schedule
They
upcoming.
do.
They could be easily 3-7 in a couple weeks.
Absolutely.
All right, you want to
Well,
take a quick
alrighty.
break before we move on to some more ball talk?
I think so. We'll come back. We'll do a little World Series talk, and then we'll get into the meat and potatoes of this week. We'll get into our NBA preseason predictions. We'll see you on the other side.
And welcome, welcome back to the Spillin' It podcast. We're gonna take a quick moment here. Jesse and I were kind of chatting about this, and also a special hat tip to some family that I'll shout out in a minute. We haven't really talked a whole lot about the MLB playoffs. It feels like kind of a miss for a podcast that's all about talking ball. So we're gonna take a couple minutes here and just touch briefly on the MLB playoffs. Obviously, at this point, I think this podcast will come out before World Series Game 1. I think it's on Friday. But
I think so.
you know the matchup. It's Dodgers against the good guys, the Blue Jays.
Nice.
Definitely no bias there whatsoever. But we had to mention it and just talk a little bit about this series. But I wanted to shout out my Canadian family members who clearly supporters of the pod because they messaged me some like photos of them and some stuff about the World Series, and they were like, "Make sure to shout us out on the pod." Ha ha ha. And I was like, "Actually, I am going to do that. Thank you." So shout out to the Canadian Boyntons,
You
longtime World
know,
Series fans, finally celebrating a return trip to the World Series.
first time since was it 1993, I
90
believe.
93, 32 years.
Wow, wow, wow. Incredible. In my head's telling me Dodgers just because they got the secret weapon. They got the guy, but my heart's telling me, oh, Canada. And
Yeah, yeah, it is.
you know, I'm pulling for him. I really am. And I'm just a big fan of Vlad Jr. I love Vlad Sr.
Hmm.
growing up watching him. And I just think he's such a cool guy, and the story of him, growing up a lot of his life in Canada in getting to represent Canada's team now, I think is such a cool storyline. And I am a sucker for a good storyline. If
Hmm.
there is a narrative, ooh boy,
We
I
all
am
are.
there
That's what
for it.
makes sports.
Yeah. And for this, I will be pulling for them. Big fan of a lot of the guys on that team. I love Bichette, and I'm pulling for him. My head's telling me to pick the Dodgers in six, but my heart is telling me they're sweeping.
God, we're literally so in sync because I was gonna say Dodgers at 6. Yeah, I obviously am pulling for the Blue Jays. I'm not like a Blue Jays fan, but it's easy for me here because A, I hate the Dodgers, but also B, I am a quarter Canadian, if you didn't know that about me.
Yeah.
And so my blood, the maple syrup portions of my blood are yearning for a Blue Jays sweep. I have a hard time seeing it on the diamond. Just their bullpen is not the most reliable.
Hmm.
They're getting a lot of great plays and play out of some guys that don't have a lot of track record of keeping that up. And obviously, when you have like a $400 million juggernaut on the other side, it's hard to get a lot of advantages there. I mean, you're throwing Blake Snell in game one, and then you also, oh yeah, have Shohei Ohtani who can pitch a crisp start and also smack three dingers in the same game. So
Just not fair.
it's really hard to see, but they lost 2 games to the Mariners. They had to go home and win 4 out of 5, and that's what they did.
They did.
So my heart says Blue Jays. My head says Dodgers in 6, but I'm gonna stamp Blue Jays and another 7 as my
Okay.
official prediction because I have nothing on the line and lose nothing if I'm wrong. But it should be
Right.
a
The
great series.
Cardinals, my team, the Cardinals, they were out in May, so it doesn't really.
I root for the Rockies,
Um,
so their season is over
their
when the
season was
first pitch
done
is thrown.
last October.
Yeah, their season was done. Their season was done like October 2020. So
I saw I saw this hilarious Onion article, and it was like inflation jacks up prices of Rockies tickets to $11. I was
see,
like,
but
oh,
that's the only thing that I take which that is hilarious in a vacuum. But the only thing I take umbrage with is the Rockies sell out their stadium. Like
they
they're
do. Their fans are
it's
amazing.
because they create such a great ballpark experience that it literally doesn't matter that the home team is garbage. It's
Have you
basically
been there?
they
Have you been to
basically have
Coors?
taken the minor league baseball concept to major league baseball. Where it's like you're not here to see the guys on the field. Like you don't
Oh,
they'll be
no.
gone tomorrow. What you're here for is the experience.
Yeah.
And just guys being dudes and fellas being fellas and homies being homies and good
Yeah.
beer and food and that's
I
pretty much
know
Rockies do that.
I know you've been to Colorado several times. You've been to that stadium, you've been to Coors?
Hmm. Several times. It's been a while at this point. I've never,
I figured.
ironically, I don't think I've ever had a beer at the Rockies Stadium because I don't think I've been 21 since well, no, I think there was one time. I've been several times. I was there once when I was younger. God, in like the mid-aughts, I guess they would call it, and I saw an inside the park home run
Ooh.
against I think it was actually the Rockies who hit it. That was back when they were good. But
Can you imagine trying to run around all four bases like that, sprinting in that thin air?
yeah,
That'd
that's where
be
it's like I just I feel like athletes today are in such good shape that it just doesn't like the altitude difference just hasn't mattered as much for the Rockies.
no.
But should be a
Alrighty.
good series. Blue Jays Dodgers aesthetically a great matchup.
Oh, phenomenal matchup aesthetically. Alrighty. So we got some different kind of ball to talk about. And, interestingly enough, I don't know if I can speak for Ben on this one, but as far as sports go, I'm actually probably a better basketball fan than I am anything else. I watch football every Sunday. It's one of those things, but there have been the last several years, that the Colts just have not been must-watch football. And if I have 48 hours off of work, maybe I skip one. And that's neither here nor there. That's more of a me thing. But I really have not missed a lot of Pacers basketball games the last couple seasons. And to me, I think the NBA is one of the most entertaining products available that really doesn't get the love that it deserves. And I'm really excited for this upcoming season, even though I probably really shouldn't be that excited considering my team is missing their top guy. But we have a lot to get through, and I think more than anything, we just gotta kind of dive right in. We'll go right
Yeah.
into playoff predictions, and just kind of bite off as much as we can to start. But let's start with the East, which, eh,
The
it's
East
it's the East.
is contractually obligated to provide 8 playoff teams. So we are contractually
Yes.
obligated to name 8 teams, but there's realistically like five.
So I think the best way to do this is to go 8 seed up to one. We're skipping the play-in. I personally am not a huge fan of the play-in. If you're not in the top eight by the end of the season, if there's 82 games, you got to figure it out. Like,
Yeah, it's hard because I find the play-in entertaining, but I just also am kind of like old school, like why? Like be better. Like I don't know why
yeah,
we're doing this. Because then also like you could be a really good team. You have a key player miss like 3 weeks, he gets hurt or whatever, and then you slip to that 7 seed, and all of a sudden then there's a winner go home game. I get why they added it. I think it's better for the game to have more teams with a shot to make the playoffs, but I think that I also am kind of opposed to it as a principle. But yeah, we were like not gonna, we're not doing that. 8 teams was hard enough in the East. I could have given you 12 teams in the West probably, but
no,
I could not give you 10 teams in the East.
no, I couldn't. Also, we're still in the free 40-minute version of Zoom. We don't have time to spare here.
Right. Also, if every one of you heard that we were doing deep dive team previews for every team, you'd be like, all right, I'll have 4 hours to do this. Do you want to just start at 8 and we'll just kind of
Yeah,
talk about how do you want to do this? You want to do all yours and then all mine, or should we go let's go seed by seed. That makes
yeah,
more
let's go
sense.
seed by seed.
Okay.
This is a spite pick, and you're gonna know exactly why I picked
Yeah.
them as the 8 seed here. I'm going with Milwaukee as my 8 seed this year in the East, and this is absolutely nothing but just I don't like you personally. That's just I don't have really any other reason. I mean, they don't really have a point guard either. I think Giannis is good enough on his own to
Don't
not
have
be
a
an
point
eight
guard.
seed, but yeah, I'm going Milwaukee as an eight seed because I don't like them.
So when I originally created my eight, I actually did not have Milwaukee in the postseason, and then I realized, which I do think that they're extremely shaky, and then I was like, maybe a little bit of spite here, even though I love Giannis. Like it's just the rest,
I do
something
too. I do
about
too.
I think it's Miles Turner oriented, really, but
Mine's
I
Bobby
did
Portis oriented.
my head took control, and I did put Milwaukee here. I don't know if you have them in your eight. I had Indiana here
Mm,
because I think that they have some of the talent, and especially because the East is like somebody has to be there.
yeah,
So I had them there, but I do think the Pacers probably make the play in. But I I had Milwaukee here at eight. It's Giannis and pretty much nothing else. They've really lost a lot of that talent that made them formidable. But I think he's primed for just like an absolute bonkers season,
I think
especially
so
as they
too.
run more of the offense through him. So
It's
I
gonna
had
have to
Milwaukee at
be.
eight as well. Who
It's
do you
gonna
have at
have to be
seven?
because
Oh, sorry. No,
uh
finish your Bucks
no, you're
thought.
fine.
I cut you off.
It's no move on.
Hurry up, Jesse.
No, I don't really think there's anybody else on that roster that can create for themselves, and get their points at this point. And you and I talked about during the playoffs last year that we're like, hey, Miles' defense is definitely not what it used to be. He's a
Sure is
shot
not.
blocker, but he is not that dude anymore. And I just whatever my feelings towards Miles and how he left is one thing, but I truly hope that if he does regress the way that I think he's going to regress here soon, just given his age going over the 30 hump as a 7 foot, pretty thin center, I just hope the Milwaukee fans don't personally attack him.
Yeah.
That's my biggest concern with him moving forward. For my seven seed, this one was a tough one just because the injury landscape, you obviously want to look at it, you want to acknowledge it, but you don't want it to be overboard with it. So this is actually when I took the Celtics at number seven here.
Oh, wow.
I do think they have enough talent in this conference right now to make the playoffs still. I think Jaylen Brown is a legitimate number one option when he wants to be. And I do think that they're well coached. And for me, if they see an opportunity to make the playoffs and they can retool, I think they're going to take that. And for some reason, it just felt weird to not have them in that top eight.
It definitely felt weird to not have them in the top eight, which is the thought that I had when I did not put them in my top eight. Jesse, I don't know. I respect this pick. We do disagree on Jaylen Brown. I don't think he can be a number one guy. But
Hmm,
here, I'm going to read to you the projected starting five for the Boston Celtics. Derek White, good player. And then you have Peyton Pritchard behind him. But Anthony Simons, which I guess. Jaylen Brown, who's already day to day. Sam Hauser at the power forward and Neemias Queta at the center position. For me, I
that
just
front
think
court's rough.
they have no front court, and it's truly like Jaylen Brown is going to have to play like insane for them to make this even sniff the postseason. For like and maybe this is a little bit homerism. For me, the Pacers, you have Siakam, you have Nemhard, Mathurin could take a huge step forward. You still have
Yeah.
a lot of depth of guys that played useful minutes. Even your limitations will hold you back, but you have depth. I do not see the path forward for the Celtics. I did not have them in my top eight. My seven seed is Miami. I
Okay.
don't know that I really trust Miami a lot either, but again, as you'll hear me say, at least with at least one more team, somebody had to be here,
Yeah.
and Spoelstra has proven, if nothing else, over the last couple of years that he'll drag his guys to the dance. Whether they do anything in there, usually no. The last couple of
Right.
years since Butler's been gone, but I trust Miami to find some way to be there in an extremely depleted East.
Miami was left off of my top eight, and the big reason why is I don't think Adebayo is a member of the Heat for the entire season. And
Mm.
I fully believe that they are going to try and make a run within the next couple off seasons at some big, big, big names. I'm talking Giannis, I'm talking some of the big guys for their front court, and try to retool that way and use their leverage as a premium destination. Um, And I think a lot of the guys on that team are expendable. So it
Hmm.
would not surprise me in the slightest if either Tyler Hero or Bam Adebayo were traded. And that, for me, that roster uncertainty is what kept me from putting him in that top eight.
For sure. The Heat are the classic, like you forgot to turn off Snake or turn on Snake Draft in a 2K
Yeah.
draft, and you got like the 25th pick, and you get there, and you're like, I guess these are my guys. They
Yeah,
have
this
some
is what I
talent.
got.
Their ceiling, don't get me wrong, I think their ceiling is super limited. I'm higher on their floor than I think you are,
Yeah.
but if you're forecasting some roster movement, then yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think they'll be in on the big ticket fish as well. Um, all right, seed six, Jesse. Where are we at?
So this is definitely a homer pick.
You did
And
not.
I did, and
Okay,
I'm
build me the
going with the
case.
blue and gold. I'm going
Build
with
me
the
the
blue and
case.
gold, the Indiana Pacers here. All right. Yes, yes, they're missing their top guy, but that team still made it to the NBA Finals and took one of the best regular season teams ever to 7 games. Took them to the brink and had a puncher's chance at the end until an injury happened. And for me, when you bring basically everybody back except for Turner, there is enough firepower there. I do still believe that Siakam can be a valid number one, but this pick is 100% riding on the guys making a jump without Tyrese there.
It
And
sure
that
is.
is going to be dependent on Nemhard
Hmm.
playing out of his mind, and that's going to be on Matherin being a legitimate starter. If those two things happen, this is easily a bottom half playoff team in the East, in my opinion. And there was just enough going on with the rest of the teams in the East that I looked at it and I said, I think they can do it. I really do. Over the course of a long season, Carlisle is a phenomenal coach, and I think he's going to make the adjustments needed. And if things aren't going well, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to make a couple moves and retool themselves for the future years coming up. So to me, I just think there's enough happening good with this team from the previous year. You don't have Tyrese. That is an incalculable loss. You cannot discount that. But I really do believe that Nemhard is a better point guard than most people give him credit for.
Absolutely. I think that Nemhard will have a huge year. I believe in that firmly. I think Matherin also will take a huge step forward. To me, what holds me back from I think the pace I think this possibility is possible. Um I just there's no depth when you
Hmm.
have a couple injuries. I mean, right now we're looking at no McConnell, right? Quentin Jackson is out. Cam Jones literally just got arrested. It was already, I think, out and then also just got arrested. So now the backup point guard, when Nemhard takes a seat on the bench, is either Talon Peter or Ray J. Dennis,
Yeah.
or you're making Ben Shepherd or Matherin play the point, or Furphy, who's also day to day. And then you look at the center position and you're counting on Isaiah Jackson, Jay Huff, and James Wiseman, two of whom just tore their Achilles. And then the other guy has never played this amount of minutes. I see the vision for the Pacers. I just I admire your boldness in putting them not just in but clear of the play-in. I think
Hmm.
is bold for sure. But I'm look, man, I'm here for it. I would love it. I can't see it. For me, the sixth seed, I picked Toronto. They have a lot of talent. It doesn't really fit together, but this is my third and final team where I was like, somebody has to be here.
Something has to be here.
And I promise this the five I had five like no doubt like
Yeah,
these
my
teams will
five
make
are
the
like,
playoffs.
yeah,
And then Toronto to me, they have a lot of talent. Surely they can win some games against some of these bottom feeders in the East. That I don't really have anything more nuanced than that. I
yeah,
assume that their talent will win out enough for them to, which again, like sixth in the East might be 37 and 45. Like it might not be
right.
good,
It could be rough.
but I think they're gonna be there.
Yeah. Number five, I had Atlanta here. I think
Okay.
Atlanta has some talent on the roster. I'm still a believer in Trey Young. And I think they got some guys that they're building up that are going to be extremely good over time. This isn't necessarily like ooh, they're going to, make some significant noise in the playoffs pick, but I do believe that they are better than any of the teams that we have talked about by a pretty decent margin. And I think there's going to be the top five teams. In reality, I think it's going to be the top three teams
Yeah.
and then a mid
Mhm.
tier and then everybody else from there.
Absolutely. I'm curious, Jesse, who was your four seed?
My 4 seed is Detroit.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about both teams here because I had
Yeah,
those flipped. My five seed is Detroit, my four seed is the Hawks.
yeah. So we probably have
I
the exact same three.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I'm curious to see if we have the same order, but I had the Pistons at five. I obviously they took a huge step forward last year. They have a lot of
Yes.
really young players that got some valuable experience. Even if you don't win in the playoffs, just being there, I think has proven to be valuable
Huge.
for young talent. They also concern me a little bit with some depth. I don't think that they have. I think Cade Cunningham is awesome. I still don't think that they have that ace
Hmm.
player. They Karis LeVert and Marcus Sasser are two of their key guards off the bench, and they're already hurt. So is Jaden Ivey. So now they're looking at guys like Danis Jenkins and Shaz Lanier, and Ronald
As
Holland really playing a huge game role. But I think that they're really talented, and I think that even if they may take some lumps again this year, I don't think this is their breakthrough year. They're a team though that I would definitely have an eye on for pushing some chips in for a disgruntled star. But I think that they definitely have enough to be a clear playoff team. And then we'll talk about the Hawks as well, and then you'll talk about the Pistons. But yeah, I'm not as much of a Trey Young as like a top option believer, but I think that they made some really savvy moves this
they
offseason. I
did.
really liked picking up Porzingis. Jalen Johnson is really good. I thought Zachary Rieseker actually showed some stuff, and I think in this offense or on this team as it's built, where he's at best probably the fourth option, I think really allows him to kind of develop his game and not feel the pressure that usually comes with being a number one pick. Dyson Daniels is him defensively. I think that Nikhil Alexander Walker is on this team now. Luke Kennard's a good sniper. I think that they just have Onyeka and Kongwu off the bench. I think really kind of allows him to play
Hmm.
more to his strengths and not be overtaxed as a starting five. I really like the Hawks this season. I think that they're capable of being a top four seed for sure. So I have them as four.
Yeah, and it's just a well-constructed roster. It was methodical. You can see the vision
Hmm.
that they had, and like you said, picking up
It made
Porzingis, I
sense.
think, yeah, it moves that make sense on paper. And if they don't work out, they don't work out. But I don't think anybody can sit here now and say, "Ooh, I'm not really sure about what they're doing here. I'm not really sure about the roster construction." But yeah, definitely some moves that would, I think, make most fans happy if I was a fan of that team. Looking at the Pistons, and I think I'm right where you are. Huge jump and made some noise in the playoffs. Played very, very hard basketball against some really good teams. And for me, I really just think that over the course of the season, if they can stay healthy, and I know you
Yeah.
already said some of them are injured, but if they can stay healthy, I do believe the East is weak enough that they can pretty much beat anybody from six on down
Hmm.
with ease on any given night. I really believe
They're
so.
just so physical too, and that
They
makes a
are.
huge difference when you're already playing with a talent advantage. If
They
you
are.
want it more, you play harder, that'll help them bank some wins.
So for the East, we have, I'm guessing, some sort of mixture of the Magic, the Knicks, and the Cavaliers.
Wait, you're telling me
Um,
you don't have the Wizards up here?
no, no,
Okay, good, because I don't either.
no, good.
Terrible
You're not a
franchise.
Jordan Poole guy,
Nah, he's awful. He only plays well when there's an insta baddie on the sideline, and even then, well is like 9 of 24.
right? Not a 24, but getting to the line,
That man is motivated by
just aura farming.
it's like when last year when OG Anunoby was balling out of his gourd when Suni Lee was courtside. If you could just
Yes,
plant somebody courtside for Jordan Poole that he was enamored with enough, he probably would score 30 a night. But
that would honestly, it would be a good investment.
I would you certainly I mean you would pay way more for like your 12th 13th man on the team. Just pay a baddie.
Yeah, that's all you got to
Motiv
do.
You could save a lot of money. Put the savings in
You
like
could
I don't know.
even rotate and just pay them the per diem.
Yeah, just like you gotta keep the baddies fresh so Jordan Poole stays motivated, stays hungry. All right,
That's
Jesse.
terrible.
Let's Yeah, I do have Cavs Knicks Magic. Do you want to just I feel like they're all kind of so close to me.
Yeah.
What was your order? One through
My
four.
order is 1 seed
Yeah,
Cavaliers,
same.
2 seed Magic, and 3 seed Knicks.
Okay, I had the Knicks 2 and the Magic 3. But like I just said, like I mean they're really like to me these are 360 win teams and it's going to be like 63, 62, 61 wins or
Yeah,
whatever.
it's
Just
going to be super close.
yeah.
And
I
mine
think
was just putting the Knicks at the bottom out of spite.
and that's fair. And the Knicks, definitely. I don't know. I think for me, I just trust what we've seen from them a little bit more than the forecasted jump for the Magic, which I do think
Makes
is
sense.
coming. I think Desmond Bain really unlocks a lot for them.
Huge,
I
huge.
still and they added. Didn't they add one of the Joneses to play point guard? Which they
Is it
just yeah,
Tyus?
Tyus Jones. Yeah, they
Yeah.
still like they desperately need better point guard play.
Yes.
I
They don't
like a
have
lot
one.
of what Orlando did, including some of their like soft rebrand stuff. And I think that they if you see some jump or some forward progress from Wagner and Bancaro, who are already very good players, I very much see the vision. I think I just trusted the Knicks track record a little bit more, and I thought that some of the moves they made on the margins were really, really good. I think Yabusele is kind of a meme, but he's also like a valuable player.
Yeah,
And I think that the Knicks just running it back, like it clearly worked. I don't know that I agreed with the coaching change, but I think they're going to be
right.
fine with that. And then Cavaliers, for me, I don't think we have to spill a lot of virtual ink on it. They were the best team in the conference last season,
They
and
were.
it's like the same team, except for they upgraded slightly by getting rid of what was the Auburn guy's name that could Okoro. They got rid of Okoro. They have DeAndre Hunter with a full off season to get integrated. And Lonzo Ball, I actually thought was a really, if he can stay healthy at all, I think he was a really
I think
solid
they'll
piece.
be a great
So,
pick for them.
yeah,
Yeah, in a lot of the same things with that. For the Magic, it just really fully depends on the health, and they just got gashed last year. And obviously, my hometown team right now, living in Orlando, I can walk to their arena, but the things that I saw last year and a lot of the games that I got to go to it was just a lot of confusion on where the sets were, on where the ball was supposed to be moving, and the offense was not flowing at all. And that was the biggest issue is that a lot of times they would just kind of be like, well, Paolo's down in the post somewhere, here you go. And I
truly
think
what it was like.
yeah, and a lot of that had to do with the fact that they could not shoot. They couldn't shoot at all. They
Hmm.
were the worst 3-point shooting team in the league at various points last year. I don't have the stats off the top of my head, but they were
How dare you?
truly abysmal to the point where like the Kia Center crowd would groan when they would try to shoot a three. And I can tell you firsthand, like I went to games. It's legitimately what would happen and it was painful. So having a legitimate sharpshooter like Desmond Bain being able to stretch that team out is going to help, not just the offense, but I think it's just going to help the overall flow of the team, their positioning. And I just think they're going to be better overall. Whether that translates to number two or not remains to be seen, but I do think they're going to be well coached, and I think their roster construction just leads to a better product on the floor. Like you said with the Cavaliers, they were the best team, and I think injuries did slow them down. As a Pacers fan, I can admit, Darius
Yeah,
Garland was not Darius Garland in that series. And towards the end of it, Donovan Mitchell was starting to get banged up because Aaron Nesmith just murdered him on a putback dunk. And,
did not help him.
that did not help anybody. But I do think the top of the East is going to be better than people are going to give it credit for just because the rest of the conference is so bad that I
Hmm.
don't think they should be slept on going into any
Those are good
finals
ball teams.
matchups. Yeah, but they're going to be legitimate good teams at the top of the East. So with that, I think we transition into the West now and starting again from the bottom. You want to go ahead and go first with your 8 seed?
Sure. And the West, as much as we kind of joked about the East being a little shaky, the West, there's more than 8 good teams here. It was really
It's
difficult.
true.
It was
Very
very,
hard.
very difficult to pick a team here to be the 8 seed. And originally I had a two teams here, and I was like, I don't know, I can't pick. But that's kind of the coward's way out. So I'm gonna be bold. Dallas Mavericks, 8 seed.
Okay.
I think that Cooper Flag is gonna be good from the jump. I think that um they added enough with AD and Derek Lively in the front court, and then I like D'Angelo Russell as the point guard of this team. Where
I
on
do
a
too.
team where Cooper Flag is going to handle the rock a bit, you can run some sets through Davis in the post. Klay Thompson, I think another year healthier will be pretty good. They don't have the best depth. Max Christie, I think, will help a little bit with that. And obviously, the big elephant in the room is no Kyrie. But I don't know. I think I'm enough of a believer in Cooper Flag being a day one contributor that I see them as a potential playoff team. So that's why I have them at 8. Number 9 for me would be Memphis. I couldn't get all the way there with the Grizzlies.
It's just hard, especially with them losing Bane.
Yeah.
And the Mavericks were my first team off. They were my 9 seed, and it was really, really hard for me to leave them off for the exact reasons that you said. And I'm sure I will end up regretting that by leaving them off. Number 8, I actually went with the Spurs. I do believe they develop enough for a bunch of the guys to make a jump to make the playoffs this year. I think Wembanyama is going to make a huge run, you know, at being the dude, or at least in every 2K simulation I've ever played. This is the year
Yeah.
he makes that jump. Um, there's just too much going on there that I think they have some good things happening and that they finally make a run for it.
Yeah, go ahead and disregard. I literally in my head when I was building this was like I need to put the Spurs in here and then forgot to do it. So disregard everything I said. Mavericks are new 9 seed. Spurs at 8 for everything you just. I meant to. I literally that's embarrassing. But yeah, no,
Hey, no,
I
you
think
gotta do
that the
what you gotta do.
Spurs have so much talent, and I think that if they can stay healthy, this is the year
Yeah.
to make the
Seven
playoffs at least.
seed. 7 seed. This is the team that I look at the roster and I have to separate the names from who is actually playing now.
I like this
Because if this
already.
was 2016, this team's winning it all. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. But number 7, I actually had the Clippers for this one. I think over the course of a long NBA season, I don't think they're going to wow you night to night. I don't think they're going to be a ton of highlight reel stuff happening. But I do think a starting lineup with Harden, Beal, Kawhi, John Collins, and Zubac, I think it's just a team that makes the playoffs. They just somehow kind of make their way in. Like I said, they're never going to be the team that you're like, oh, look out for them. But I think they're good enough to make it.
So I did have briefly have the Clippers here. I have them at 6. And I think I had a really, really hard time sorting these two teams out. The Clippers at 6 and then my 7 seed, which is the Golden State Warriors.
Hmm.
I I don't know, man. I can't really pick against them until they give me a reason not to, but I am,
Right.
everybody's a year older. I think they have real depth concerns. I don't know that Al Horford walking through that door really makes a huge difference for me. And all the Kaminga weirdness going on.
Yeah.
I have the Warriors at 7, and then I have the Clippers at 6. I actually think that the Clippers might surprise some people this year, but I think surprising people this year for the Clippers is just like staying healthy and
Playing a full season.
playing a full season. So I also, I have a hard time seeing them in a 7 game playoff series. In which I know we're picking regular season records, but that is something to think about. I think just with the taxing physicality of the season and then how I feel about their ceiling kind of makes me put them down at that 6th spot.
And ironically, at the 6 seed, I actually had the Golden State Warriors. So just flip flopping right there. It's hard to go against Steph Curry. I know he's getting older, but they're a well coached team. Easily, here's how thin the margins are, though. If anything goes wrong at all for the Warriors, they're out. Like, they're just out of the playoffs.
Yeah,
Someone's
one
going to
like bad
leapfrog them.
ankle for Steph and it's over.
It's completely, and that could really go for the vast majority of these teams. I think for 5 on down, that if anything goes right or anything goes wrong, it completely changes where they're at. For the 5 seed, this is where things got tough for me, just because I feel like I'm splitting hairs on some really talented teams. I have Los Angeles, the Lakers here, and
Do you?
I do, um, and mostly just because I think a full season of Luca is going to boost them quite a bit, and I think they're going to be a lot more stable.
The reason I was so intrigued is because I also had the Lakers at 5. I thought about putting them
We swear we
higher.
don't do this on purpose.
I thought about doing them higher, but honestly, I don't know. There's just because I think the full season of Luca obviously makes a huge difference. I think he's phenomenal. I don't know. LeBron is. I'm not going to count LeBron out, and please, everyone, note that I'm not doing that. But he's an older player, and behind the front court, I don't know that DeAndre Ayton is part of winning basketball. I think once you get off the first five, even like Rui as a starter, I think is a little concerning. They just don't have a lot of depth on this
Yeah,
team, and I think this is a team
very
that
top
needs to
heavy.
be able to lean on some depth because their best players are either a little bit fragile or old. And
Yeah,
like I hate to say it about LeBron, but that's where we're at. Like he's not playing 82 games a season anymore. And
no,
so for that reason, I had them at five, even though I think they're capable of being higher because their starting five is as good as anybody's. But or at least is as capable of putting
yeah.
on a performance that can rival anybody. But I had them at five. All right, four, Jesse.
At four, I got Minnesota Timberwolves here. This is a team that I think could go higher depending on how things are going. And a lot of that just has to do with Anthony Edwards. I think
Yeah.
he is good enough on his own to carry them to a top four seed. And to me, I think the top four teams are a block ahead of the rest of the teams in the West. And not by much, not nearly as much as it is in the East for sure. But I do believe that these are going to be the four solid teams. And I like what I've seen from the Wolves the last couple of years. I think they're just a solid group. I think they play through their star just as well as anybody does and really let him kind of be him. And
Mhm.
I think he's only getting better. I think he can make a run at an MVP here soon.
I sense that we flipped our four and three here because I have Houston as the four
Yep.
and I had the Wolves as three.
Yep.
I the separator for me between those two teams, I agree with what you said with the Wolves. I think that they're a proven successful team. They need to get over the hump in the postseason, but they have the star power and the supporting cast. They did lose some talent, but I think that they're pretty well set up for this season, especially. For me, the difference between them and Houston, which Houston can play some suffocating defense, but I struggle to see where the shooting comes from sometimes.
Hmm.
Losing Fred Van Vliet is brutal because now you're counting on
Yes.
Reed Shepherd, who you haven't really seen play any meaningful basketball
Right.
as your starting point guard. Like, I think Amen is actually starting tonight. I think I saw Kevin Durant listed as the shooting guard, which is crazy. You got a 7 foot shooting guard,
7 foot SG.
but and I do think adding Durant is huge for Houston. I worry about in the same way that I worry about the Magic spacing issues. I worry about that
Hmm.
with the Rockets, where I think the floor is really high, and I think that they could win a lot of games and be really good, and even win a couple playoff series potentially. But I think the separator for me. That was the separator for me, where I believe a little bit more in Miami, or I mean, not Miami, Minnesota's ability to make some of those plays, rely on a bench that has some key contributors and just their proven track record a little bit more than Houston's, which is a little bit more theoretical in this moment in time.
Yeah, and absolutely makes some great points. For me, the separator was I just think Durant has proven in his career that he is a master of positionless basketball. And the teams that have him kind of build around outwards. And I'm just a big believer in Amen Thompson. I think
Hmm.
he takes a massive leap this year. And I know I am not alone in saying that, so he probably won't, knowing my
He is the
luck.
odds-on favorite for most improved player, but
Yes.
I think there's a
So
reason for that.
I think there is, there's a crazy amount of talent there, but I just think they do figure it out at some point over the course of the season. Whether that translates to the number three seed, who knows?
Yeah.
So I'm guessing we also have the same top two with the Thunder and the Nuggets here at the top of the West.
Yeah, you got Thunder
And
one and two,
yep,
or
I got the
you got
Thunder
Thunder
at
one and
one.
Nuggets two.
Yes,
Yeah,
I do. And
we have the same top two.
and that just truly it could go either way. Really, really could. I just think the Thunder are deeper. I think they're just overall more talented, and I think they have the monkey off their back right now.
Hmm.
And they got the chip, and I think they're going to start playing more loosely. And I think that is terrifying for the rest of the league. To me, those are the top two teams in the NBA right
Yeah, I don't
now.
think there's a question.
I think those are your top two teams. You have Jokic, who is just a freak of nature, and I don't really see anyone else that's going to knock them off at least for a regular season.
Rockets currently, by the way, as we record, winning 46-45 over the Thunder.
Oh,
Chet was 7 of 8 from the field for 18 points.
wow.
SGA, 3 points in 13 minutes. It's kind of shaky.
Ooh,
Yeah, for me, I just don't see. I think the Nuggets are extremely good, and I think some of their retooling of the roster is really going to benefit them. I think they made some really good moves this offseason. I think getting MPJ out of there, it never really worked for them. And I
Yeah,
think
just didn't really
Cameron
work.
Johnson is just such a good like ancillary piece to your offense. You know, and I have a hard time seeing anybody better than the Thunder right now, especially because they didn't really lose anything of value and they just actually added guys. They had a first round pick that didn't even play for them last year.
Right.
I just think it's the Thunder's world, and we're all just living in it right now.
Think so too. We're gonna take a quick break. We'll come back here in a second. We'll do our NBA Finals picks and some awards, and we'll do our fun segments after that. We'll see you on the other side. And we are back. Thank you for being patient with us as we go through the non-sponsored portion of our time on this podcast.
We have the
Having to
best ad breaks in
consistently,
America. That's
we
all.
really do. We really do. There are so many opportunities for so many companies to step in, and go ahead and give us your money. But
At least the
regardless,
Zoom subscription. We're begging. Our
can
hands and
somebody
knees,
buy the Zoom subscription so we don't have to do this anymore? Anybody,
tearing our
anybody at
family
all.
apart.
We're gonna go ahead and make our finals picks here and then go through some NBA awards before we get into our fun segments. And for me, the finals picks, I'm gonna go ahead and go. I hate to do this, but I ended up going with both one seeds here, and
I
I didn't even
know.
realize I did it.
I did the
But
same thing.
again, like you said, it's the Thunder's world. We're all just living in it right now. It is really, really hard to go back to back in any sports. I think
Hmm.
basketball especially, but we have seen over the last decade or so that when the team has it and they catch that lightning in a bottle, they hold on to it for a couple of years. We saw it with the Warriors. I think we would have seen it with the Cavaliers had Kevin Durant not gone to Golden State. But with that being said, I went ahead and took the Thunder over the Cavaliers for this year. Obviously, injuries can play a part, but I just don't see a team from top to bottom that can compete with them. And I think J-Dub is going to be an absolute freak of nature this year. I think a lot of these guys, like I said, are just going to play looser basketball. It might not translate to as many regular season wins, but they are battle tested.
It
I
would
mean,
be
they went
hard to
through
do
it.
so.
Yeah, I mean they went through it last postseason, and they played some very very good teams on their way to that title, and they took it all the way to seven, and they did the thing. So for me, until somebody shows me differently, this is the Thunder's league.
Yeah, I really sat here and I tried to make a case for the Nuggets in a series against the Thunder because I really wanted to pick the Nuggets to win it all. And I couldn't do it. I think it's possible, but I think with my, you know, whatever I'm blanking on the expression, but with my butt to the fire, I guess is what I'm looking for. I had to pick the Thunder. And then obviously, I think that they would beat the Cavs. I think the Cavs, again, like you said, I think the top teams in the East are good basketball teams, and they're kind of
Yes,
going to have a little bit of a demerit on their record because they're in the East. But I think that they're good quality teams. I think the Western Conference Finals is the true finals this season.
I think
Just
so
kind of
too.
like it was supposed to be last year, and then obviously the Pacers had something to say about that, which is possible this year. Like, we're not
Yeah,
just saying like it's going to
absolutely.
be a sweep by any means, but I have a hard time picking against the Thunder right now, and so Thunder over Cavs for me as well.
All righty, let's get into some awards. I think it'd just be easier if we just went down our list of award
Yeah.
winners each, and then instead of one by one. For this one, Rookie of the Year, pretty easy pick for me. It's Cooper Flag. I like a lot of the guys that were drafted this year. I think this is going to end up being one of the better draft classes when we look back at it. But I do think Cooper is the most NBA ready out of the guys. Remains to be seen who's going to have the best career. We'll let the ball do the talking. But right now, it would be almost foolish of me to say anybody but Cooper as my Rookie of the Year. Most improved player. This is a completely biased pick, and I do not apologize for it. I'm going with Andrew Nemhard for this one.
Mhm.
I just think he is going to be able to play at a different level than what people are used to seeing. I think he is a phenomenal defender, but I'm really interested to see what his offensive game looks like when he has to play a different role. He has to be the distributor now. I think his defense will take a bit of a step back this year overall because he can't be playing in guys' faces all the time.
Hmm.
But offensively, I think he's going to put up some numbers that are going to turn some people's heads. Defensive player of the year, I went with Wembanyama on this one. If he stays healthy this year, I think this award is going to be his for the foreseeable future. He's just he's a freak. He's just a freak. There's no other way to put that. Coach of the year, I'm going with Jamal Mosley. I think for the Magic, he is going to be a huge piece of putting this team together and making sure that the talent that he has on this roster works. If the team is successful, it's because he was able to make that work. If not, it's going to be an issue, I think. But I do believe in his ability to coach and make in-game adjustments. MVP, I'm going back to back with SGA. I wrestled around with this one for a bit with Jokic. It's hard to pick against the Joker, but for this one, I went ahead and went with SGA. I think he does it again. I just think he has a solid floor that every single night he's going to have similar stat lines, except for apparently tonight. But for this one, I went ahead and went with the repeat pick because I feel like that's been fairly common lately.
Those are good picks. I like all those. You're gonna see a little bit of overlap, but we do have a little bit of difference. I like that. Our
Okay.
NBA, we were pretty much in the same ballpark on a lot of
Yeah.
these. We just, a little slight variations. I'm gonna try to match the same order you did. I think I have it down. Rookie of the year, yeah, it's Cooper Flag. Obviously, I talked erroneously, it turns out, about the Mavericks being a playoff team and then remembered the Spurs. But I think that Cooper Flag has the runway and the opportunity and the ability to really just put out a really strong first season.
Mhm.
I already kind of talked about that. I'm not going to belabor the point, but I did want to honorable mention VJ Edgecombe. I think is really good. I
Agreed.
think
Agreed.
we didn't talk about we didn't neither of us picked the Sixers in the East, even though I think that we both would agree that they're a capable team of making the
Yes.
playoffs. It's just hard to know with all the injury mess of Embiid and Paul George. But I think if they do make the playoffs, VJ Edgecombe will be a huge part of that, and I think that would really help his candidacy. I think next you did most improved player,
Yes. Mhm.
and I have Amen Thompson. I know he's the
Great
odds-on
pick.
favorite, and that's
Yeah. Great
lame,
pick.
but I think that playing next to Kevin Durant and having some of that load taken off him, in addition to, well, some of that like face of the team load, coupled with the uptick in playmaking opportunity that's going to be there because they don't have a real point guard. I'm no disrespect to Reed Shepard, who I did think about, but I was like, I don't know if he's good. I don't want to pick him to be most improved
Yeah.
player.
It could be a mess.
He could, if he is good, the opportunity is there. But
It is.
so I went with Amen Thompson. His defense is already next level. If his offense takes any sort of leap forward, then I think this is a pretty like sewn up award for him, maybe. Although
I
the
thought you were
odds
going to say
are,
slam dunk. I'm not going to lie.
I think if his offense leaps, then it's over. But
Yeah.
I did also think about Nemhard. Matherin is like bait, but I don't know that he's gonna be better. I think he could be better. I think his instance is gonna be just more opportunity.
Yeah.
Nemhard, I think, is really gonna have a good season. I just don't know if the counting stats will be there. And then I think, Amen Thompson is going to be having him balling out on a top four seed in the West. So I think that
All
will
right.
help him a lot there.
Yeah. Makes sense.
I think next you did DPOI, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw our brother Wembanyama training with monks, but even before with that, even if I hadn't seen him play at all, doing the Batman Begins arc is enough for me to lock
Doing the
mortal lock.
Doctor Strange move.
Trading with Ra's al Ghul to combat against Nikola Jokic is enough for me. But yeah, I mean, he would have won this award in a laugher if he hadn't gotten hurt last year,
Yeah.
and so I just think it's his until he's unseated, really. Which not that he can really be unseated, I guess, if he didn't win it, but his reputation and his play are the best defender in the league, and so I think that's pretty
Right.
free and clear. Ironically, Wemby has like relatively decent odds. He's like 15th in odds for most improved player, which I think is hilarious. Not really sure how much more there is to go, but I guess
We'll
uh,
find out.
it's possible. Did you do Coach of the Year or MVP next? You did Coach of the Year.
Coach of the year. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Coach of the Year. I have Quinn Snyder,
Mm,
and I had Jamal Mosley as my honorable mention, even though the Hawks I had seated below the Magic.
yeah.
Coach of the Year is just so hard to me. And Quinn Snyder
It
and Jamal
is. It
Mosley, by
is.
the way, are tied. All these odds are from ESPN, I guess. I have to say that. But they're the odds-on favorites. It's just so difficult. I wanted to say Mike Brown. I really did because I picked the Knicks as my two seed. But I don't know. I think the Hawks, the narrative around the Hawks has been that they just haven't been able to get it done. And I think
Yeah.
that they're going to have a narrative flip this year. They've just been like kind of like middling, like, they've never really been anything. And I think they'll have a strong year. And I think Quinn Snyder is well respected around the league. I just see it kind of coming to him. But this one I feel the most shaky about just
Yeah,
because
it's
it's
up in
just
the air.
impossible to
It's
know.
yeah.
Um, and then that leaves me with MVP, and this is a crazy. I wanted to look up some stuff for this, but I ran out of time. I currently have Giannis as my MVP. If
And
you
that's a
recall,
completely fair pick.
if you recall though, I had the Bucks as my 8 seed. I'm not
Yes.
sure what the historical precedent is for MVPs on like barely and I don't think the Bucks have a 500 record. So like I'm not really sure what the historical precedent is for that. I see the season that he's gonna have in my head clear as day, and I think it's just bonkers. So
The counting sets are going to be egregious. Like it's
it,
going to be a mess.
it's gonna look like when you do a 2K franchise and you have like one guy. It's not even always necessarily your best player, but you just all of a sudden have a guy who's just putting up numbers, and then you just completely change your offense to run through him. He's putting up like my player numbers, like
Yes.
86% usage rate. I did have Jokic as an honorable mention because I think
Yeah.
that he probably will actually win the award because his team will have a
Yeah.
good record. But I had to go with Giannis. I'm just all bought in on like if no, there's no one else. He's gonna drop like 40, 10, and 10 in that, 40, 15, and 15 maybe even
And
on
he's
that
gonna
team.
lose most nights, poor guy.
They are going to lose more than they win, but I think he's my pick.
Yeah. No, completely fair pick. He's won it
Gonna be
before,
a fun
and
season.
it's gonna be a lot of fun. And I'm excited because like we said, the Thunder are there, but I do believe we're going to have some new teams that are kind of knocking on the door of
Yeah.
contention and really going to set up the new NBA, the new faces of the
Hmm.
league that we have that are coming up. And I just really like where the league is at. I think the league's in a healthy place. I think the East will be back to normal here soon once the injuries kind of subside, when we get the Celtics and the Pacers back into the mix. But
Hmm.
for the
To be
time
clear,
being,
that makes a huge difference.
yeah,
Two contender teams that are just not going to be there this year because of injuries.
yeah. And Miami will be back soon enough. So the East is going to be just fine. I'm not too concerned about it. I know this year's going to kind of suck for that being, but hey, that means there's some all-star spots up for grabs. That's all that means.
Yeah. How do you feel
All
about
right.
Jay Huff, Eastern Conference All-Star Reserve?
I see the vision. I see it. I'm with you. I'm walking with you.
It's gonna be
But
like that. It's gonna be like that Pro Bowl when Tyler Huntley was an alternate because
oh
they're
my
just like
God.
literally
That
like
was
anybody come play in this game, please.
please somebody, if you have thrown a pass in the NFL this year, please.
Jordan Poole, look, Washington Wizards, you can get Jordan Poole to the All-Star game. We laid out the path for you.
It's right there for you. All right, let's switch some gears. I'm just excited that basketball's back. But we had a couple different fun segments. So we actually switched roles
We did.
unintentionally this week where one of us did the fun sports one, the other one did the pop culture. So we'll see how this goes.
I like where we
We're
settled.
trying something. I do too. So why don't you go ahead and do yours first, and explain what our sports fun segment of the week is.
Okay, yeah, and to be clear, I actually think Jesse's idea is more fun, but I came up with mine first, so I had to stick to my guns. I thought it would be fun to talk about sports documentaries that you don't think will get made, or even one of mine I definitely think will get made at some point, but just maybe some more niche things, or just things that it's like, I don't know if you could really make a whole documentary about that, like budget concerns or whatever, but just
Yeah,
something you just like, you're dying to know more about. Like you have to know how everything about it.
yeah.
You would sit down and watch an hour special about it. And I actually have three.
I got two.
Okay. Do you want to do your two and then I'll do my
Yeah.
three, or do you want to alternate?
Let's just do all of ours at once.
Okay.
So for my first one, I think this is one that could be made and probably should be made at some point, but a documentary about the rise and fall of Rick Ankiel and his
That's a great
return.
one.
And if you're
You
not
took this
familiar
so
with
much
it,
better than I did.
my second one's not as like connected with that. But if you're unfamiliar, the Cardinals back in the early 2000s had a pitcher named Rick Ankiel who was kind of an up and comer, and he was supposed to be the future ace of the staff. And in the playoffs, just out of the clear blue sky, he ended up getting the yips and could not throw a strike. And when I'm saying not like, oh, he was walking, got he could not throw a strike. Like to the point where it was almost dangerous to have him out there. It was wild pitch after wild pitch, and it was the craziest thing I've ever seen. He ends up coming back the next year, spring training. It's happening again, borderline worse than it was during the playoffs, and just completely forgot how to pitch. And the Cardinals send him down. He gets hurt. A lot of things start happening, and he just kind of disappears. And you're like, where is this up and coming pitcher that we have? Fast forward a little bit, he comes back on the other side and decides he's going to be an outfielder. And switching your position like that at the professional level is just
He's
unprecedented.
just
You
like,
just
I'm just
don't.
gonna play like a different position that I haven't
He's
played.
like, you know what? I'm done pitching. I'm just gonna start playing outfield. And he makes his way back through the minors a second time and comes back to the Cardinals as an outfielder. He ends up having a season where he hits 24 home runs as the best outfield arm in the game. Just
Yeah,
absolutely filthy outfield arm
it was
throwing.
that season was so cool as a neutral fan.
It was so cool. And obviously, as a Cardinals fan, I remember it vividly, but I would just love to see a documentary of some footage, some things that he was doing, some interviews from the people that he was playing with, um, just kind of detailing what happened and what that moment was like when he came back. Because he came back to a Cardinals team who at the time they sucked. That team had nothing going on for him, and it jolted a life into a franchise that was kind of lost after their '06 World Series team. So I just think it would be a really cool documentary to see him come back in a completely different way, and really being one of the best natural baseball players we've seen. My
For
second one,
context,
oh,
Jesse,
good.
real quick, just to add for the listeners who may not be as familiar, he debuted in 1999, was injured and kind of stopped pitching a couple years later, and ended up retiring in 2013. So he played 11 full seasons.
Yeah,
It's in the majors, and like Jesse said, there were multiple minors trips in there, and I think that's amazing that he managed to play as many games as he did, doing what he did and going through what he did.
absolutely crazy story. My second one is not as serious. It's more just like a personal qualm of mine, but a documentary on the fall off of sports video games. What happened? We
I
used
mean,
to be
I could
treated
probably give you some reasons, but
we were treated so well when we were growing up. Like Madden, it felt like you had to get the release every year because there was something new, there was something
hmm.
more cutting edge. And I don't know if it's just because the graphics limitations that we've kind of hit the peak of what I think things can look like overall in gaming, but microtransactions, all these different things have just kind of sucked the soul out of sports video gaming. And it's really disappointing because I bought the college football game, which it's a great game. It's developed here in Orlando. The EA team did a great job developing the EA Sports college football games. But I bought the package that had Madden come with it for like an extra $20 or
Yeah.
whatever it was, just because I wanted the extra stuff for college football. And I got on there, and it's just there's just nothing there. There's just nothing there. It just feels completely soulless to me. And I just remember going in and looking forward to like hearing a new soundtrack and playing the new training camp games. And I just don't have that same excitement. I think MLB The Show's done a great job over the years of keeping itself relevant, but even they have started to plateau in the recent
Hmm.
years. I think it's the same game year in and year out. NBA 2K is a massive overbloated game
Don't even get me
nowadays.
started on 2K,
It
man.
is it's 160 gigabytes on a console. It's not remotely what it used to be either. And to me, I just want to figure out the exact point where it went wrong. And
Yeah.
I would love to see what the developments are like now and what we can do to get some of those old feelings back. I mean, even something fun like the old NFL Street game, something different that just kind of throws some spice into this arena because I have been so disappointed every year for the last several years on the sports video games.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we'll have I think this would be a fun like side episode for us to like spend 30, 40 minutes talking about. I
Yeah.
think graphic limitations for sure at a certain point, it no longer because part of like when we were younger is each year like the jump was so severe that
Right.
it was like, oh my God, like this is like I always remember like the first times that like my parents or parents' friends or family would be like, what game is this? Like, what are you watching? Because they just thought it was a real game.
Yeah.
And it no longer just looked like a fake game. But I think I'll never forget, like I still have Madden 2003,
Yep.
or I think it's actually 2005 that I have. It's one of the 2000 somethings. And you can go in and you can create your own playbook and design your own
Oh
routes.
yeah.
And I would do some really kooky shit in there. But that's just a
Oh yeah.
feature that like no longer exists in the games. And
Right.
it's
Like give
just
us stuff that we used to
basic,
have.
basic gameplay things that like used to, that you could do because they used to exist, don't exist anymore. I think the number one culprit is probably like some of the exclusivity deals that these like EA
Yes.
has where they don't have a competitor, so they don't have to try that hard. You
Yeah.
know, there is no other NFL football game. And NBA, you know, they had NBA Live, but I feel like 2K was just like, okay, prove it before we change our ways, and then they couldn't
Right.
prove it. Um, those are good ones. I have, like I said, three. Um, I would watch both of Jesse's. We'll see if he'd watch any of mine. I had like one serious one and then two that were not nearly as serious. Well, one was kind of in the middle. Actually, two serious, really. The number one that I thought of, and maybe this is just my marketing brain at work, I would love a documentary like embedded with like a marketing firm or somebody that is going through like a team rebrand, like a new identity,
Ooh.
and just all the
Ooh.
things that go into that, like brainstorming. How do you come up with the team names, the identities, the logo? Because it's not just like, hey, we're wearing new jerseys this week. It's
Right, right.
everything about our team and how we identify ourselves and how we market ourselves to our fans, how we talk about our team, the little things, you know, like the stickers in the hallways and the names of our like weekly video series. Just everything that goes into a rebrand. I would love to
Absolutely.
see just like
That's tens
from
of
an
millions of
insider.
dollars worth of decisions.
Yes, like from an insider's perspective, I would love to see just like how that process goes.
Never even thought of that, but that's I would absolutely watch
I
that.
can't turn my work brain off even when I'm not working, and like this is very much not what I do for a living, but I'm still thinking like from a like how would I market that? Anyway, so that was one. My second one, I need the Derrick Henry High School documentary.
Oh my goodness,
I don't know if
yes.
enough footage exists, but that man would run for like 7,000 yards and like 60 touchdowns every season in high school. It's truly like
I just need to see the size difference.
every time you look up, because I read, and this is inspired slightly. I read an article where it was they interviewed a bunch of guys that just played Derrick Henry in high school, and they were all like normal people, and so they would include like their like current jobs. So it was like accountant, you know, car salesman, whatever. Um, and like every time you see Derrick Henry's stats, it's nuts. For context, his senior season, he ran 462 times for 4,261 yards, which is 9.2 yards a carry, 55 touchdowns.
That's outrageous. That is
And I'm on max preps right now. Um, so it's giving me some extra context. The national average on those stats was 180. Well, I did, okay, never mind. But 5.02 yards per carry, I think translates. So he was more than double, or almost more than double what other running backs were doing. So Derrick Henry, high school, I need everything. I need video interviews from the guys that got their spleens separated by Derrick Henry, and then you know, had to go take chemistry exams at 8 a.m. the next day. I need everything about it. I just, every time you see the numbers, they're more mind blowing. And I need it so bad. It's like Paul Bunyan, but real life.
so I got another stat for you here. Someone posted this on Reddit as of 3 weeks ago. So it's possible he's past this at this point. But as of 3 weeks ago, he still had 459 fewer rushing yards in the NFL than he did in high school.
It's possible. And Derrick
That's
Henry has like
insane.
is like a top 20 rushing yardage of all time running back.
Yes,
Yeah, he
he's at
had
11,600.
in his four high school seasons, he had 12,000 rushing yards and 153 touchdowns.
If you're a high school coach for a small town team, how are you rallying your team? Be like, hey, he has never been stopped before, but by golly, it's going to be us.
I honestly think one of my favorite stats about this is that he had 8 receptions in his high school career. for 62
Why
yards,
are
no
you throwing
touchdowns.
the ball?
Why would you throw like literally like zero if you're giving him the ball, you're giving it to him behind the line of scrimmage and he's just going.
Are they
Like
stacking 15 in the box? Like,
yeah, as a freshman, he ran for 2,400 yards and 26 touchdowns. Anyway,
insane. Absolutely
and
insane.
then my third, which is not the most serious, I need a documentary on when Randy Johnson hit that bird.
Yes.
It's one of the most fascinating things in sports history to me. It's a video I can't like watch without watching eight more times in quick succession. I just I don't know that you have a whole like hours worth of content for that.
I think you do.
I've read an oral history and it was entertaining as an oral history. I just want the video
Maybe a
documentary.
sports science, like a half hour
Sports,
sports
I would
science
settle
on it.
for the sports science. Yeah.
I need
Um,
like the angle trajectory of the bird's carcass as it's
because he more deletes all details of the bird from the bird than he does like because the bird explodes, but not in
it's
like a.
just
I'm sorry to get so graphic on our podcast, but not in like a like explosion sense, but in like you literally see
it's
all
just
the
poof.
feathers just detach themselves from the bird. It's truly just one of the most mind-blowing thing. I'm obsessed with Randy Johnson hitting the bird.
It is
It's
it couldn't have happened to a better like person for it to happen to as well. Like I would say like maybe Roger Clemens as well, but like just somebody who just throws gas. No change up, no curve, just throwing absolute heat. It had to be somebody like that for it to just have the aura that it does. Like obviously wild. My favorite part of the video is actually hearing the crowd's reaction to it every time.
And
Oh,
they didn't even think that they had footage of it. And the only footage of it that exists, because they didn't have the TV cameras didn't get it. The only footage of it that exists is the came from like the scouts. Like they were,
yeah.
logging
Yeah.
pitches to review with pitchers, and they just happened to have Randy Johnson deleting this bird from existence on there. I also thought about originally I had the Paul Pierce wheelchair game on here, but I more just want the honesty of that than I need an entire documentary. Like I just need to know what the real truth is of that.
I just more than anything, I need to know what he ate before the game,
So I don't do that
even
ever for
possibly
any
up to
athletic
the
activity.
night before.
Yeah, agreed. All right, that is our pop or our fun segment. Jesse, you want to intro our pop culture segment?
Yeah, I thought we'd do something a little different this time. And, I've been really getting back into going to concerts this year. Actually, I have one coming up next week. I'm going to go see the Jonas Brothers and the All American Rejects here at the Kia Center next Monday. I'm excited to see that one. But, as I'm still in my prime concert going era, I thought it'd be fun if we created what would be a dream music festival for us to go to and just pick 10 artists from either super popular or not popular, but you still love them very much, and put them all together in one awesome show and one marathon show for you to go to. So, you want to go ahead and share what are your 10 that you picked?
Okay, so Jesse and I talked a little bit about this before we recorded, but we didn't reveal our details. I asked Jesse, did you do of all time or of like currently living, like if this festival was booked tomorrow, like you could go? I took the latter. So all of my artists are currently living artists.
Mine are as
So,
well.
okay, because there's some obvious holes on my festival lineup that would exist if I was doing differently. Like for example, I'm a huge Juice World fan. He's not on this festival because I was like,
Right.
I'm gonna focus on like this could be booked. So I tried to keep it to like top headliners, a couple midliners, and then a couple people that would be in like the smaller font. Obviously, these are all pretty reasonably successful
Yeah.
artists. But I have four headliners, three midliners, and three of the bottom liners. How do you want me to do? You want me to go bottom to top or top to bottom?
Let's go bottom to top. I want to
Okay.
hear the big ones last.
So the three, and again, this is kind of disrespectful to these artists to call them bottom
Yeah,
liners,
it's not, yeah.
but I have Breakins, a bit of a hyper pop, I guess is how you would describe him. Huge fan. He's always in my Spotify top five. But his success is such that I could put him in this category. Actually, famously saw him with my now wife the night before we got engaged in Orlando.
Hmm.
Great concert.
That was a great
Nothing
weekend.
Nowhere, who's kind of like a I don't even know what you would call him anymore, like an alternative rapper almost.
Yeah.
Um, my Jesse, cover your ears. I would say like he's like if shoot, what's the artist name? To me, he's like if 21 Pilots was good. But huge fan of his stuff. He's gone a little bit more like kind of screamo in the last year or so than what I really like. But if as long as he doesn't play his most recent album, I'm fine. And then Chelsea Cutler, also super disrespectful to put her on this level. I've seen her before. I have not seen Nothing Nowhere, but I've seen Chelsea Cutler, and awesome artist, huge fan, love her music. Jesse, who's your bottom line?
It's a bit disrespectful to call any of these bottom line, because we're going to get into some fairly big names pretty quick for me. For me, the singer-songwriter Biba Doobie is going to be on
Oh, okay.
my early
No,
ones.
that's a perfect.
I love her stuff. There's just she does a lot of different things, and most of the people probably know her from the remix song Deathbed or Coffee for Your Head.
Hmm.
She's the one that sings the hook to it, but the actual original version of that song where she's actually singing, her voice isn't altered, is significantly better. Highly recommended if you haven't listened to it, but she just got jams. Her most
I
recent
saw
album
her
that
when
she
she
released
opened for
last
Taylor.
year, yeah, she's got some cool stuff. Um, for my next one, I have his name is Love, I think is how you pronounce it.
I
I
know
love his
who you're talking about,
music.
yeah.
Probably know him from I Like Me Better is his big song. He also had the song in Elemental called Steal the Show. But he has a bunch of stuff on the back half of his albums that people don't really listen to that is phenomenal. I think he's actually a really gifted songwriter outside of his big hits that are super catchy. I think he has a lot of really cool depth there. And then from there, I am running out of small names, so I'm just gonna go with Metro Boomin. I just love his arrangements.
I love it.
So we're getting into the weeds now for
I
me,
think
but
that's where he would probably slot in at like a festival. He's a I
yeah,
mean, he's a big name, but he's
yes,
not his own performer. I think you've got him labeled.
yeah. So I'm putting Metro there as well. I just think he has been on fire production wise the last 3 years or so. On top. I think he is number one right now.
Absolutely. I love that pick. All right, midliners. For me, I have three. I'll go through these kind of quicker. I know we're already this is a jam-packed episode,
It
but
is.
Kesha is one of my all-time favorite artists.
Yep.
I'm kind of sneaking her into the middle. I just don't think she's on the same popularity level as my headliners, but I have seen Kesha one time. It was transcendent. Would love to see her again. This one maybe, I don't know, maybe Chelsea Cutler should switch with. I have Jaden Smith
Oh yeah.
as a midliner, which I don't think is probably accurate, but he's enough of a name outside of music that I feel like it
Yeah,
probably
for
is.
sure.
Huge fan of some of his music.
Stuff is excellent.
His album Iris, I've listened to so many times
It's
now.
so good.
It's just so good. The first song of his I heard kind of ironically, and then I was like, wait a minute. Um,
Wait.
Big fan of that. And then my final midliner is it's pronounced Black, but most people would
Oh yeah.
recognize it as Six
Six
Black.
Flags.
Um,
Yeah.
Huge. Haven't seen him either.
Excellent.
Huge fan. Just love everything that he does. And I think he's getting ready to put out some more music soon, so I'm excited for that. But those are my midliners. Jesse, who you got on that middle tier? We're
This
looking
is
at
a
like 12-point font, but we're not at the 20-point font.
this is a wild mid tier that I'm gonna have to split this up into. I'm going Bad Bunny as my next one. I think
That's
he is going
great.
to
You're putting
yes,
Bad Bunny on the mid tier.
yes.
You're nuts.
When you hear the rest of my names, you're gonna understand why.
What do you have,
I
Jesus
don't.
Christ headlining your event? This man is playing the Super Bowl, Jesse.
I know.
All right,
It's gonna get
carry on.
we're getting crazy here. I love his stuff. My Spanish isn't 100%, but I know enough of what he's saying that I'm with it. But I absolutely love his
He's got the
music. I
devil from The Devil Went Down to Georgia on his mid
yes.
tier, the Bad Bunny, and like a cursed guitar.
Um, Next one's gonna be Lana Del Rey. I love Lana stuff,
Yeah,
and
great
I've
choice.
never seen her live, but I would absolutely love to. My two younger sisters have, and I'm jealous of them
I know, I was
constantly
so
for it.
jealous when they went to that.
I want to see her so bad. That would be a phenomenal show. And again, this is just an absolutely wild mid tier and it will make sense when we get to my top. But Post Malone is going to be
That you're
my
crazy,
last.
man.
I know it will make sense. I promise. I love Posty. I love all iterations of him. I love his early stuff. I love his mid stuff. And honestly, I'm not even a country music fan, but I've enjoyed some of the stuff he's released in that transition as well.
He and Bad Bunny need to fire their agents. They're
Yes,
just getting dogged in these bookings.
he's probably sitting there watching, is like,
He's like,
what do I
and
have to do?
he's probably like, hell yeah, I'm on the same level as Bad Bunny, and Bad Bunny is like, okay, but like for real. I don't know, but I do love your mid tier. It's incredible. It's just an incredible booking.
It's just a
Who
wild.
was
That's my
I'm
mid
sorry,
tier.
I who was between Post Malone and Bad Bunny? Remind me again.
Lana.
Lana. Bad Bunny is looking at this list like, I respect Lana Del Rey, but like,
What? What are we
but
doing here?
Jesse, for day one ticket purchase to your festival. Um,
Yes.
all right, so we have 4 minutes left in our Zoom session here, so we're gonna try to rapid fire this, so
Yes.
we don't have to have a fourth file. All right, my four headliners. I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory. If you've listened to me or know me at all, The Weekend, I don't feel like we
Yep.
have to waste time. He's probably on yours. I had Future as well, especially because
Ooh,
then
good pick.
you could get Low
Oh
Life as
yeah.
the
Oh yeah.
transitional piece. I have Taylor Swift. I'm a simple man. The Eras Tour was just truly a transcendent experience. And then I did put Sabrina Carpenter on my top tier.
It
But
was really hard to
still,
leave her off
if
of
she
mine.
doesn't play most of her newest album, and she gives me some of her older songs. I want to hear Can't Stop Me. Bring Saweetie out. Give me
Oh yeah.
Singular Act Part 2. Give me all of your discography except for your new album. But that's my top line. Who you got on your top line? I
My
can't wait
top
for
line
this.
is
Moses is gonna lead
is
us out.
I got all the biblical characters. I got Kendrick Lamar on
Yeah, that was the
as
hardest to
well.
leave off for me. But I
Yeah,
assumed
I
he would
got
be at
Kendrick.
yours.
Yeah. So we'll just go to each other's. I also have Taylor on mine.
Mhm.
I've never had the opportunity to see Taylor, and I'm not really sure why. Needs to happen, but I need to get my finances in order for that to
Right. I was
occur.
about I could tell you why.
And then the last two, you could probably guess who they are. It's two artists that I've seen before. Coldplay being one of
Yep.
them. If you've never seen a Coldplay show, even if you're not a Coldplay fan, the show is transcendent. It is a full sensory experience. Like I said, even if you're not a huge fan of especially their newer music, the show is just excellent. You feel it. It's unlike anything I've ever experienced. And then to end off mine is going to be The Weekend. Like you said, there's really not much to say that we haven't already said about him. But best vocal live performance I've ever seen and probably will ever see. I'm not really sure how it can get better. I was actually re-listening to it at my desk earlier today because somebody uploaded the whole concert to YouTube,
Of
and
course
I
they
was just
did.
listening to it again and reliving it. Just a phenomenal performer and more importantly, a phenomenal storyteller, which is really hard to do through live music.
Mhm.
Much easier to do as a concept in the studio, but to pull it off live is another thing. And I think he did so beautifully. That was fun. I
That was
enjoyed
fun.
that. I
Great
would
festival.
definitely go to your festival as well.
Yeah, I think we booked ourselves two incredible festivals. Live Nation, watch out. We're coming for you.
Yes. What is the ticket price for
Yes. The ticket
mid-tier
price is
Bad
yes.
Bunny?
All of your money. All of your money. It's gonna cost you everything. All right, man. Jam-packed episode this week. New
Yeah,
recording date, I think works out well for us. We'll
I
keep
think
it
so.
going. I think I'm still gonna probably this won't matter for people who listen, so never mind. It's still probably coming out on Thursday, but I'm a busy man. But it's always a good time, man. I think we got a great NBA season coming up to add to this exciting NFL season already going on, and I can't wait to see what kooky ideas we come up with for these bonus segments next week.
I know, having a great time. Yeah, if you guys haven't seen, we are on Instagram and TikTok now.
Yes,
Please
follow
follow us
us.
there. I'll be splicing up different things. So if you can't catch the full episode, I'll be posting sometimes our fun segments and other little tidbits that we're putting here and there. So follow us there, and maybe just maybe I'll reply to you.
Maybe. I'm a bad host. I didn't say like and subscribe. So like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.
So, yeah, have a good one.